Young at Art is Northern Ireland's leading children's art provider. We work across the province with various different activities, but we believe that every child has the right to access creative experiences regardless of who they are and where they come from. The Creative Child programme is key for enabling us to deliver this activity into areas of high deprivation, was particularly in North and West Belfast, and then in 2017 extending more into East Belfast as well.
The project started in 2011 with a small pilot with 6 nurseries in the Shankill area. This was out of a need to increase the level of access to arts for all, and this was a very small pilot supported by Children in Need. BBC Children in Need saw, along with ourselves, the potential for the project. Since then, they have continued to support us, and we have grown the project year on year.
The project centres around Belfast Children's Festival. All the children on Creative Child go to either the MAC or the Lyric usually and see a show that's been specifically programmed for their age group. That's the kind of axis on which Creative Child turns. So before they go and see that show, they'll get a visual art workshop in school and a drama workshop in school. Those are to embed the skills they're going to practice across the rest of the programme, to get them familiar with going to the theatre. Then they'll go to the theatre, and then the artists will come back to the school and they'll do another visual art workshop and another drama workshop within the school. So that's 5 experiences in total. Then after all that, they will have what's called a parent and child workshop to bring more creativity into the home life and make it part of sort of family dynamics and part of play within the home. And the final thing that happens is the extended creative experience. So this year we worked with the Strand Arts Centre in East Belfast and also Cultureland on the Falls Road. We took children to see Novelli's War by Cahoots NI, that was in the Lyric. We took them to see Little Ballad, also in the Lyric. They saw a show called Spot in the MAC, and they saw Vuelos, which was also in the MAC. This year we engaged just about 800 children from across Belfast. We work with 15 nursery schools. We work with 8 primary schools. We have 6 visual artists, 7 theatre artists and 12 project support, so it's a huge project.
We try to put the child at the very centre of what we do. So everything is child-led and process-based. And this means that our end product is not necessarily what your traditional art project would have. We're not looking for finished artwork or performances. What we're doing is we're creating increased confidence in children, increased imaginative skills and critical thinking skills. When you're working with the young age groups that we are trying to get these outcomes, you need to develop a really good rapport with them. And we have only a short space of time, so building trust is kind of key to what it is that we do in our approach. One of the cornerstones of our methodology is placing the child at the centre of the project. And what we do is, rather than having a linear project where we have a start, a middle and an end, we try to put the child in the centre and work around the child. So there is a legacy created and an ongoing learning that is surrounding the child. It's not just our sessions where we're dropping in, it's also the taking them out and the training of the artists and the teachers.
All the children will get definitely a visual art experience and then either drama or dance. We're trying to build one cohesive, well-rounded experience for the children. So throughout the project, all the artists are on the same page about this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to work towards these aims rather than I'm trying to teach them to paint or to make things out of clay.
Little Ballad was a performance show with a painter and a musician. So what the show had kind of inspired me to do was to look at the painting and the relationship between the musician and the painter. So I thought this would be a fun way to bring this to the children. We also set up the room for the children to make it to be a child-led process. The easels were height of the children, that the paints were all set out similar to what the painter had done within the show. Once they got started, they seen how each other were painting, and this also kind of engaged them to how they were painting and reacted to each other. At the very end, once they had finished and created their paintings, like the show itself, we changed the easels into a gallery. So they got them to pair up with each other and to explain to each other what they'd painted.
And is the rainbow after the rain or before the rain?
Before the rain.
So that also gives them the confidence to speak about the work and be able to critically evaluate what they'd done. Cornerstone of what we do in Young at Art is to promote best practice.
This project is an extremely high quality arts project, and in order to maintain that, we need to have the best possible people working on it. We are also a training organisation. We want people to develop their skills. There's very little facilitation training out there, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring two skills together in the one person, great facilitators as well as great artists, so we have that real magic that's created within the sessions.
We engage artists who really embed process as part of their practice, so we never use templates, we never do a performance at the end, we never really have an end product. We do 3 days training for them so they can really learn about what we're trying to do. We call it like leaving the ego at the door and putting the child's ideas and the child's suggestions at the centre of the process.
The methodology is founded in research, which we have conducted and continue to update on year. By bringing the artists along on that journey, giving them an understanding of the research that's behind the project, and that this isn't a drop-in, drop-out type of project. That really benefits both everybody working as a team.
So on the training days, we tried to get everyone on a level playing field. So that included thinking of the background of what these children's lives are like at home, what deprivation might look like, what lack of self-confidence might appear as, what happens if you don't have an imagination and you're 3. So if you live your whole life never having an opinion, not remembering or being present in an experience to reflect on it and then form an opinion and try and make a change, what does that seem like? How can we affect change? So how can they adapt exercises that they might be already really familiar with when they're in a room? How can they talk to children with a level of sort of mutual respect and understanding? The extended creative experience is the most unique part of our project, and it's so special for the children to be there. Part of what we want to do with the extended creative experience is for the children to recognise that they can bring the magic to this place and make it come alive.
It is real cinema, yeah.
The thing about the Strand and the Culture Land is they're right in the heart of these areas where the children are. We want it to become very, very familiar to the children, that if they go past it again tomorrow, they'll remember, wow, that's where I was on the stage, that's where my friends were on stage, I played with the lights, I took a bow, the curtains opened, like all those kind of magical things. We also want them to realise that it's very close to them actually. It's not this alien experience reserved for certain types of people. We're kind of trying to familiarise themselves with jobs they might do in the arts that aren't being a performer, that are very exciting and appealing. Parent and Child Workshop is probably the other thing on the project that makes this really unique. We invite parents in and they play with the children, led by the artists. They'll learn how to bring those games home. It's to make creativity more accessible. It's really brilliant for the parents actually, because they might find that their child's really quiet, or so they think, but then they might see them really thriving when they're using their imagination. You know, it shows parents a different side to the children. 9 times out of 10 they will tell us that they've been amazed by things like how much their child remembered from the show, or how much their storytelling skills have improved.
Weekly assess how we're doing, how the children are engaging, are we meeting our objectives. This, when you're working in an arts project, is very, very important because outcomes are soft. We don't have a hard fixed outcome at the end. So in terms of trying to evaluate soft outcomes, you need to employ a number of methods. We also conduct final interviews with all of the teachers. They've completed written forms in advance of our meeting, and we then talk through those in detail, particularly looking at the individual children within the class group and how they benefited. Overwhelmingly, the response has been extremely positive. The outcomes are being achieved, thankfully. We have some wonderful stories of children who have completely come out of themselves. Teachers often saying that because we're coming in and delivering the project and they're getting to actively participate in the sessions, they see their children in a new light. And when they see them acting in a different way that they maybe hadn't predicted, that this can open up other avenues for them to engage with the children after we've left. From the very beginning, we ask the artists and the project support to evaluate each session. So every single session they're both completing separate documentation on how the project went, how the children responded. We also engage in creative evaluation, and this is where during some of the workshops, particularly the parent and child workshop, we employ some creative games and use that sort of evaluation methodology to really get out of the children what they thought and also what the parents thought and their reaction to watching the children grow and develop over the course of the project.
Now, did you go to see a show in the theater? So yes and no.
Going forward, we would like to extend the reach of the project in several ways. First of all, we'd like to extend it into more areas of deprivation, working into other areas of the city, particularly extending more into the east of the city. We would also like to offer the activity to more children, so working with more schools, more classes, so that more people can enjoy this great activity. So at the moment, we're very much focused on the nursery end with some primary school activity, but what we would really like to do is to be able to meet that child at several different times in their primary school career.
This year we expanded the project quite a bit. Having invested heavily in the training and these new schools, next year and going forward, our hope is that we will deepen the relationship that we've now established with these new schools, that we will further enhance the relationships that we have built with the existing schools, and we're also looking to deepen relationships with partner organisations such as Cultural Landmark Adam O'Feig and the Strand Arts Centre, who have been crucial to the delivery of this project. We've had the wonderful support from BBC Children in Need, which has funded 15 of our schools to take part in this project and is absolutely crucial for the nursery schools.
The other area that we really keen to extend in is to extend into working in the Irish language. So we're chatting to several schools in the west of the city to see whether we can actually deliver Creative Child in Irish within those one schools. So we're really excited about that project.
The primary schools, we've been very fortunate to have had funding for the last number of years from Halifax Foundation, and Cultural Landmark Adam O'Feig also funded our first pilot of an Irish language version of Creative Child for Gaelscoil Noel this year.
Well, the political and financial climate is very challenging for arts organisations, and we're certainly Young at Art are not alone in that. However, we're really indebted to the trusts and foundations that have come in to help us with this lovely project, but most particularly BBC Children in Need, without whom it just simply wouldn't happen. Halifax Foundation, the Thomas Devlin Community Arts Fund, Esme Mitchell Trust and the Ernest Cook Trust as well.
I love working on Creative Child. This project is definitely the most high quality and high achieving project I've ever worked on, so I really like it.
This project is a very unique project. Their selection of the artist and the planning and the programming really delivers in through the workshop that you can find that the quality is there.
For me, having been involved in this project for the last number of years and to have had the opportunity to really develop a project, to look at the arts and give them the value and the recognition and the respect that they deserve within their role of working with children and young people has been extremely rewarding. Looking at those children's faces, seeing the outcomes that we're having and the impact that this project is having on them, on their schools, on their teachers and on their parents is absolutely phenomenal, and it makes all the hard work worth it, and it is hard work.